Good afternoon and welcome to Tax Tip Tuesday. I am your host, Chastity Grady. I am the owner of Grady Tax Plus, where I help service-based providers such as counselors, coaches, and content creators who are new in their business understand their business structure, their tax situation, and help keep their finances organized. So today's topic, we're going to talk about business expenses, okay? How do you know what you can take as a tax write-off or what things that you can write off in your business? How do you know that, okay? So just do me a favor before we get started. Go ahead and like this video and share this video out. Share this video out with someone who needs to know this information, okay? Share this video. Also, leave me a comment. Leave me a comment letting me know any questions that you may have about writing off anything for your business, okay? Let me know whatever questions you have, okay? So do those two things for me. And so as we get started, I want to talk about how the IRS looks at business expenses, okay? And this is what this has to do with what goes on your tax return, okay? So things that they are looking for is it ordinary and necessary for your particular profession? Ordinary, necessary, as well as within reason, okay? So what does it mean to have an ordinary and necessary expense? So ordinary means, like, for example, if you're like, I'm just going to use myself as example. So if I'm a tax professional, if I'm a bookkeeper, what are things that normally that tax professionals, bookkeepers would need in their business? What are things that they are ordinarily in general going to get or have as a business expense in general, okay? And then what is actually necessary, okay? What is actually necessary for them to actually do their particular job, to do whatever it is they do in their business. So when you're looking at your business expenses, you want to look at those two things. Is it ordinary? And is it necessary? Do you really need this for your business? Okay. And then within reason, you're not spending an astronomical price for it. Okay. So that's what we're going to look at. So whenever you are filing your taxes, you want to look at the business code, okay? Not only when you're filing taxes, but when you're setting up your business, whenever you go to the bank and you give them a business code, or any tax agency with your state or city ordinances or anything like that. Whenever you are setting up your business or providing your business information, you want to take into account the business code that you are providing to those different agencies. The business code, your business code is very important because that lets those different tax agencies know, and sorry about the lighting today, that lets those different tax agencies know exactly or something, or the ballpark of what you should be writing off in your business, okay? So for example, if a counselor, if you're a counselor, there's a specific tax code for that or business code for that. As a tax professional, there's a specific business code for that. When you use that business code, that lets those tax agencies know, okay, when I see this return, or whenever they file a return or whatever they're doing with their business, I want to make sure that everything that's reflected on the tax return is going to be what's ordinary and necessary for this particular business code. I want to give you an example. For example, I had a client consult maybe 1 or 2 weeks ago with a client who I had talked about this in the live I did last week about commingling businesses. So she commingled 2 businesses together, an IT business and her private practice business as a counselor. She commingled the two and filed both of the businesses under one tax return with the one business code that was affiliated with the tax return, which is for an IT consultant. Okay. Now, what happens is, whenever you do something like that, if you do something like that, you will have to look at, okay, whenever you get audited, will the IRS take into consideration all the income and expenses associated with both businesses under that one code, or would they just take into consideration the one code for that, the one business expenses and income for that one particular code? And that's what the answer is. So if you combine 2 businesses together and you file them on one tax return and you use one business code, one of those businesses, if you were to get audited, one of those businesses expenses will be eliminated as tax write-offs because it's not affiliated. Those particular business expenses will not be affiliated or ordinary and necessary for that particular business code. So let me just give you an example so you can kind of understand. So for example, let's say, if you're an IT consultant and you have a business as a counselor, whatever your business accumulates as a counselor, that's not going to be the same expenses that you accumulate as an IT consultant. Okay, so that's kind of example. So that's why when you have your business code, making sure you choose the right business code, and also separating your businesses. Don't commingle your businesses. Hey, Cassandra, don't commingle your businesses, because that puts you in trouble. You want to keep those businesses separate if you do have separate businesses. But that's one of the reasons, because those business codes lets those tax agencies know what is ordinary and necessary for that particular business code. Okay. Now, generally speaking, there are going to be general business expenses that all businesses should have, right? Every business, or most of every business, should have a computer, office supplies, things like that. Those are not into question. It's when you have the more specific things that you're accumulating in your business that will let you know whether or not that's ordinary or necessary. So, for example, I'll give myself an example. So I go to a lot of tax conferences because that's ordinary and that's necessary in order for me to continue to do what I do. But if I start investing and going to conferences, let's say, what's the field? Well, I'll just do a counselor, going to tax conferences or conferences about being a counselor and how to, increase my skills, but using my money or using my business as a tax professional to pay for that. That's not ordinary necessary. Okay, that's not ordinary necessary for me to invest in going to a conference to learn about being a counselor and things like that, because that is a separate business. Okay, so I wouldn't be able to take that as a tax write-off on my tax return as a tax professional, because it's separate. But what I could do is pay myself for my business, pay myself the amount that I want to invest into a separate business venture if I wanted to do something like that. Or you can find a way to make it a tax write-off, such as, well, maybe if I become a vendor, if you can be a vendor at that event, because that's my target audience. So I could be a vendor at that event, and then now that becomes a tax write-off for me, because I'm being a vendor as a tax professional in order to curate my audience, who are counselors who are going to be at that conference. So that's an example how you could kind of turn it around and be a business expense for you. But just surface level, you have to make sure that the business expenses that you are accumulating, that they are appropriate and necessary, and that you can kind of basically argue, like I just kind of argued with you, or provided my debate to you of how I could take that, or how I could have taken that difference as a tax deduction. Okay. So let me know if that makes sense to you. Basically, when it comes to tax write-offs, as long as it's ordinary, necessary, and within reason, you're not spending an astronomical amount. Okay, you're not spending, $10,000 in marketing, but you only made $5. That's not, that's not really in reason, really. I mean, you can argue it, but it's not really in reason. So you want to make sure it's, within reason, reason of your field and what your business actually has as income. Okay. So if you're someone who needs to know more about at least the general tax write-offs that you can take in your business, things that business owners across the board are able to take as deductions, that I will have it linked in the comments. Okay, that makes sense. I will have a link in the comments, a general list of over 100 things that you can take as a tax write-off in your business, just in general, generally speaking, all the things that you can take in general. If you want something more specific in regards to your business, things that touches on your specific profession, then definitely schedule a consult with me, and I'll leave the link as well down in the comments for you right after I end this live. Okay, so if y'all have any other questions regarding tax write-offs, and understand that it has to be ordinary and necessary for your business, it has to be within reason, then definitely leave a comment below and let me know, and I'll be sure to answer that. And I will see y'all in the next Tax Tip Tuesday.